everybody, it's Doug here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a new playthrough. Now, I know I was playing a different game before this and I didn't quite finish it. It's been a long time since I filmed anything. Mainly because, as you know, I have my studio shed outside. And when I'm running the air conditioning, it's very loud, as you can hear. Now, I'm hoping that I'm going to try something new. I'm going to try and use my editing software to reduce the noise from the air conditioning so I can run it while I'm playing, because I really can't not have it on. I mean, it is now, I'm trying to run videotape this later in the evening, and it's actually still 97 degrees. So, you know, it makes it really warm in here, and I can't really operate under that capacity. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to start a game of Arkeis. Now, Arkeis is a cooperative dungeon crawling legacy style game, but it's kind of simplified, but not simple, just simplified, and it's got some incredibly cool components and incredibly cool story arcs. It's basically about a group of, I think it's the 1920s, 1930s, a group of adventurers who are seeking treasures in Egypt and want to prove that the Egyptians had developed steampunk style technology. So it's kind of an interesting twist on history. Now, one of the things that's interesting about Arkeis, and I started reading the rules so I could learn to play, and then I stopped because it says after the first page, after it tells you the general principles, it says you can close this book and follow the instructions in the expedition logbook to learn the rules while playing your first session. It says you can read the rule book later, or even simply refer to it occasionally when you have a question about specific points. I want to see if that holds up. I like playing new games for you on the table where I've just basically read the rules and started playing, so you can see the types of mistakes or things that I get wrong and not make those same mistakes yourself. So again, I was going to read the rules and decided, you know, I'm just going to go through this and see how it plays out. It'll be a lot of fun, I hope. Anyway, we're going to give it a try. Now, one of the unique things about Arkeis is it is episodic, so it's not unique in that sense, but it kind of reminds me of Cthulhu Death May Die in the fact that you have these episode boxes, and the episode boxes contain content specific to that episode. Now, it's not like in Cthulhu Death May Die when you mix and match bosses and boxes of scenarios together, but it has that same kind of feel to it. It's got a really interesting time mechanic, which kind of has a time press your luck type piece to it that I think is going to be really interesting. And I believe that we're going to start by just reading the story. There's a lot of story in it, so there's going to be a lot of this. But once we get into the gameplay, I think you really like it. The other thing that's very interesting is this is one of the first games I've had in just a little while that was really boxed, like really, really well. And I've gotten a few lately that have been boxed well. I would actually say The Witcher: The Old World was one of those, as is Isofarian Guards. But The Witcher came in such a massive thing. You had to break it down and put it back together in a very special way because it came with all these expansions and everything in it. Now, Arkeis did not do that, but it does have everything broken down pretty nicely in the box. The only thing is, there wasn't enough room for all the tokens, so right now I have some of the tokens here. I'm sure there's a way to pack it. I'm going to have to check that out. And while this is not an unboxing, I did want to talk about the box because I think it's interesting. For example, this is I think this is the top layer of the box right here, and it does have its own lid that you would put over it. But it has 4 layers. This is the first layer. You see these tuck boxes here are your backpacks for your characters where you can store the things you've collected from scenario to scenario, because you're also going to go back to a camp and you're going to build that camp out. It's going to become more useful to you as you go through the storyline. Now, I haven't even opened the cards yet, so we're definitely going to be doing that. I just didn't do it because being a legacy style game, I wasn't sure if you should or not. So and since I didn't read all the rules, I want to be sure we're doing it correctly. The next thing is that the second layer of the box is the stories, right? So I don't know how many are in there. I see 4 here, but I think there's more underneath. And if we open it up, I can take a look. It's like here's 0. Yeah, there's 2 layers. So there's going to be enough scenarios in here to take you through a really fun campaign. And one of the cool mechanics about it is these doors that hold the rooms together, and then you put these markers in there so you can identify through generic markers what's happening based on the scenario. It's pretty clever. Then there's a layer of miniatures in the box. I'll just show you that. It's all laid out nicely. And in the very bottom is an interesting thing. I'm going to show you this. What I find interesting about this is there's also these boxes down here. Now these have big miniatures on them. I don't really want to spoil what's happening, but you see the boxes that hold these things are also the rooms that you'll be playing in. That's super cool concept and idea. I really like it. I want to see if it's just gimmicky or does it play out really nicely. We'll have to see, but I think, and it also helps with storage quite a bit. Also helps with setup quite a bit. So it'll streamline the setup process as you go. There are also these individual characters that have their own storylines and special abilities. The board is actually really, I like the way the board works. I saw that the cards have a thing that comes out here. Like if you have an item, a weapon, it'll go here. If you have a movement item, it'll go here, etc. And you can, if you have a trauma or a damage, it'll go down here when you fill these up. Really interesting mechanic, and each of the characters is slightly different. But it does show the very simple turn sequence on it. You know, it says apply start of the round effects, apply the start of turn effects that of adversaries you're grappling with, reorganize your equipment, and then perform your actions, which are going to be two very common amongst games like this, where you get a couple of actions that you get to perform during your turn, and then you move on to the next piece of that. Now, I don't know how to play. This is going to be interesting because I'm going to take the book in at its word, and we're going to get started with this book right here, the adventure, the expedition log. Now it says right in the beginning, right here, there's an introduction. It's quite long rather. I do think I'm going to read it to you, but then you get right into the first scenario 0, where it tells you how to set it up. By the way, you glanced at it, but this will be spoiler filled, so I wanted to make sure to let you know that. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to just put this aside. I'm going to load this up first, and I'll add to the video. I want to see if I can make the sound work where the air conditioner, which just turned off. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Hasn't turned off all day, meaning that I'm at 77 degrees in here right now. That's pretty nice. But I'm going to stop right there and see if I can do something with the sound of the air conditioner and how troublesome that is in the video. If it doesn't bother you, or it doesn't bother me, then I'll post a whole video with the air conditioner running, and we'll just have fun with it. I'm also think I'm going to play, I found a really amazing mod on Tabletop Simulator for Witcher, the Old World. I was going to do a solo playthrough of that, but again, with the heat, I haven't done it. However, there is a great mod on Tabletop Simulator, so I might do that as well as this at the same time. One of the cool things about that is that I do own the game. One of the things, I will never play Tabletop Simulator with the game that I'll show on the channel that I don't own the game for. I don't. It's just a principle thing, because I don't want to. If I own the content, then I'll put it on my channel. But if I don't, then I won't. And I take that same approach with Tabletop Simulator. So I will be playing Witcher: The Old World on Tabletop Simulator, which is a super cool game. All right, well, let's see how this video goes. It's going to be a short one just to get us going, and then we'll take it from here. So I am looking forward to seeing you in just a minute, maybe, or maybe in another video where I figure out better how to keep the noise level down. All right, thanks, and I'll see you shortly, but I'm glad to get started with a game of Arkeis.